for our patients. Likewise, in this forum, we want to highlight three important messages. One, multidisciplinary team is the best approach to management of these patients. Second is early detection matters because at an early stage, we provide cure for our patients. Third, it's never too late. At any stage, there is hope for our patients with advancement in technology, advancement in medicines. We give hope to our patients. And thank you all for participating to today's forum. And I'm looking forward to a very fruitful discussion from all stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samson. In our pursuit of fresh perspectives in lung cancer, we are fortunate to have with us the LungHack board representatives who will share their experiences and insights on this leading cause of mortality. So without further ado, may I call on our first guest, Ms. Violeta Ribay, to share her experience now.
Good morning, everyone. I am Violeta Ribay, a lung cancer survivor for 9 years and 4 months, to be exact. I am one of the members of the Board of Trustees of the organization LungHack. This will be introduced later. It is an honor to be invited in this event and to share with you my journey as a cancer patient. Ang journey ko po ay nag-start noong July 2015. Ako po ay nagpa-annual check-up kasi yun po ang aking naging policy po. As a retired police officer, minimaintain ko po ang aking health. Nag-retire po ako ng maaga po ang retirement namin. Kaya po at the age of 62, I have retired for 10 years na. Nung po magpa-annual check-up, may bukol ang aking baga. So hindi pa po alam ng pulmonologist ko ano yung bukol. So a series of tests was taken to me. The MRI, the CT scan, and ultimately the biopsy. Doon po nalaman na ako ay may lung cancer. Nagulat po ako kasi ako po ay active, ako ay health conscious. Kasi as a police officer, alam niyo naman, we have to be physically fit or otherwise matatanggal kami sa serbisyo. So ako pa nagtataka bakit ako nagkaroon ng lung cancer. Aggressive treatment was done. Ako po ay na-detect ng July 2015. Nag-start po ng August 2015 ang chemotherapy sessions ko. At first, 6 sessions muna. August to October 2015 para daw po lumiit yung bukol. So after 6 sessions, lumiit nga po yung bukol, pero nandun pa rin ang aking bukol. So in October po, nagkaroon ako ng operation na ang tawag ko nila ay lobectomy. Yung pong lungs na may bukol, yung part ng lungs ko na may bukol, ay kanilang, ang tawag nila, pinutol. Pinutol po yung baga ko. Then after that po, ng lobectomy, another 6 sessions of chemotherapy. So, 12 sessions po until January 2016. After that, maganda na po ang naging result ng mga CT scan sa akin. So, I was declared po na pwede lang daw pong hindi mag-chemotherapy. But a regular check-up was recommended po. Ako po nagpapasalamat sa mga doktor na nag-alaga sa akin. Kasi po, ang naging advice lang po sa akin, sundin ko lahat ng sasabihin nila. At ako ay mabubuhay pa. Akala ko po mamamatay na ko eh. Kasi ang concept ko po ng cancer is terminal disease. Akala ko po, pag sinabing may cancer, may taling ang buhay. But thank God, na ako po'y nakaligtas, stage 3A. ang lung cancer ko. Ako po ay nagtataka kung bakit ako nagkaroon ng cancer. At ako po yung napapaisip ngayon, paano po kung hindi ako nagpa-check up? Kung hindi ako nag-annual check up, paano ko po malalaman na ako balay may cancer? Last year wala pa akong bukol. The next year meron ng bukol. So ito po ang iniisip ko ngayon, paano po yung mga hindi nagpapa-check up? Ako po yung walang sintomas na may cancer. Asymptomatic po ako. Malakas ang katawan ko. Kasi galing na po sa servisyo ng polis, lahat ng exercise ay aking sinasalihan. Push up, mga jogging, yan pong lahat na yan. Malakas po ang katawan ko. Wala po akong sakit noon, pero nagka-cancel ako. So iniisip ko po, paano po yung mga hindi nagpapa-check up? Yung financially po ay medyo kukunti po ang finances na ay wala naman akong nararamdaman, ay sakit lang ng tiyan ito, sakit lang ng ulo. Hindi po sila nagpapa-check up. Paano po sila? Paano sila madidetect na may sakit, lalo na po kung lung cancer. So ito po ang naging dahilan kung bakit ako'y nainganyo na sumali sa langhap. Para po ma-share ko ang journey ko, ma-promote po ang advocacy on lung cancer awareness. So, mamaya po ay introduce kung ano yung langhap. Ako po ay isa sa mga board of trustees doon. At ako po ay nagpapasalamat unang-una sa The Great Healer, ang ating Panginoon. At nagpapasalamat din po ako, walang hanggang papasalamat sa family ko. Bilang retired officers, kami pong mag-asawa, parehong polis, kuunti lang po ang pension. Paano po ako makakasurvive? Wala po akong alam noon na advocacy group, wala po akong support from the government. Hindi ko po alam na pwede pa lang humingi ng support. Talaga pong family resources lang. Ang dalawa kong anak na parehong family man na sila, family women sila, dalawa kong anak. Tulong-tulong po kami mag-asawa, yung meager pension namin at ang sweldo ng mga anak ko, nakasurvive po ako. So ito po ang advice ko. Early detection is a must para po ang lung cancer ay maiwasan. Curable po ang lung cancer. So malaki po pasasalamat at ako'y naging member ng advocacy group na ito. Ito po ang first time ko na sumali sa ganitong advocacy group. Although ako po ay may sakit, meron mga friends, mga acquaintances, ay gagaling ka si ganun nga, nakasurvive, 10 years ng survivor siya, ikaw pa. So yun po lang ang aking masasabi. Early detection at umiwas sa mga risk factors. Ako po ay non-smoker, non-drinker, healthy living po. Wala akong kabisyo-bisyo. Malakas po ako at sumasali ako sa mga physical fitness activities. So bilang isang cancer patient, now a cancer survivor, ako po ay kaisa ninyo sa pagpupromote kung paano maiiwasan ang lung cancer. At ako po ay nagpapasalamat sa Diyos, binigyan niya ako ng opportunity na makapagbigay, ma-share ang aking journey. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, sa mga advocates ng lung cancer. Sana po tayo magtulong-tulong para po matulungan natin yung mga pasyente ng lung cancer at yung mga survivor. Kasi after all po, meron pa din po akong maintenance para po yung aking cancer hindi raw kumalat na muli at baka meron pang iwan. Pero clear na po ako. Ngayon po, nagpapasalamat ako lalo po sa Family Rojas. Sila po ang naging kanyang ako'y sumali sa advocacy group na ito. Maraming salamat po. Ito po ulit ako, ang inyong cancer survivor, si Mrs. Violeta Ribay. Salamat po.
A pleasant morning to everyone. Lung disease represents a significant global public health concern. It is also a major challenge in the Philippines. Millions of Filipinos struggle with lung diseases, often due to limited access to quality health care, lack of information, scarce resources, and late diagnosis and detection. This situation creates a silent crisis, causing unnecessary suffering and hindering Filipinos from living healthy, productive lives. According to the World Health Organization, data from 2020, lung disease deaths in the Philippines reached 32,559, accounting to 4.83% of the total deaths. The lung cancer alone, there are a total of 19,180 new cases recorded in the same year. These new cases accounted to 12.5% of all new cancers in the same year. Lung cancer is the 14th leading cause of death and number one among all cancer-related deaths in the country. I'm sure you all know that. Kayo po ay mga doktor, hindi kami po ay mga pasyente lamang. The burden of lung diseases in the Philippines presents multifaceted challenges, including insufficient public awareness of the debility issues, modern healthcare services, innovative treatment, affordable medicines, and inadequate financial resources. Furthermore, environmental factors such as air pollution, exacerbate respiratory conditions, adding to the issue's complexity. Without decisive action, the socio-economic impact of lung disease will continue to escalate, resulting in increased morbidity, mortality, and healthcare costs, lalo na po yung out-of-pocket expenses, which is about 44% ng healthcare costs natin ngayon. 12 address these challenges, we formed the Lung Health Alliance of the Philippines, or LungHab, a non-government organization to bring together survivors of cancer and other lung diseases, caregivers, and other stakeholders with the common goal of reducing the morbidity and mortality of lung diseases. We have also solicited the support of renowned medical professionals to guide us with their wisdom as our technical advisors. The organization shall utilize the following strategies in its early development stage. 1. Enhance public awareness and education. We intend to increase public understanding of lung diseases, their risk factors, and preventive measures through comprehensive awareness campaigns and educational initiatives. We shall also champion early detection and screening. We will promote early diagnosis and advanced screening techniques to identify lung diseases at the treatable stage, ensuring timely intervention and improve outcomes. We shall also forge strong partnerships. We shall work alongside medical societies like you and associations, healthcare providers, medical centers, barangay health workers, and community organizations to establish a robust support network. We shall also foster a community of lung health champions. We will make champions out of the patients. We shall encourage the formation of self-help groups for lung diseases in their own communities, uniting and empowering patients, caregivers, families, and other stakeholders to support each other and be lung health champions themselves. We shall advocate also for change. We shall collaborate with policymakers to champion policies that will promote lung health awareness, improve access to treatment, and address the unique challenges of Filipinos at high risk of lung diseases. Kasama na po siguro ang pagtutulak ng mga batas ukol sa mga new techniques in early detection and targeted screening po ng lung cancer. Alam niyo naman po, ang lung cancer is treatable lalo na kung early stages. And finally, of course, we will ensure sustainable funding and we will develop a diversified fundraising strategy incorporating grants and other donations to achieve a long-term financial stability and provide consistent support to the Filipino community. LANGAP is founded by an exceptional team, a dynamic blend of professionals, passionate survivors, and dedicated caregivers. Each member has personal person experience or has witnessed in the family the cancer journey and understands the profound challenges of battling illnesses. We believe that the most effective way to reduce the prevalence, morbidity, and mortality of lung diseases, particularly lung cancer, is by fully implementing the comprehensive strategies we have outlined above. Together with your support, we can make a profound impact on the fight against lung diseases. I'd like to call on Ms. Violeta Rojas, the first of the member of the board of LANGAP. Nasa reverse alphabetical order po kasi yung ginawa natin. Ms. Violeta Rojas is a distinguished chemical engineer and currently serves as the Assistant Governor of Rotary District 3780, the lone Rotary District of Quezon City. She has been a cornerstone of our church activities since I fell ill in 2002. She has served as the president of our church from 2015 up to January of 2024. In addition to her professional and religious commitment, Ms. Rojas is deeply involved as an officer in various civic organizations, including the Alyansa ng mga may kapansanang Pinoy or Akap Pinoy and the Maharlika Concerned Elder and Senior Citizens of the Philippines. Her most admirable qualification, however, is not what I mentioned above, but an unwavering dedication as my caregiver for 22 years. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Violeta Rojas, a member of the Board of Trustees of LANGAP, as she continues to present the rest of the Board and Advisory Council of LANGAP.
Thank you for the great introduction. I am so lucky today, and the person who is introducing me is my husband. Hindi niya na po pinindot yung Anyway, I would like to echo Emmer's appreciation for allowing us to present LANGHAP to you today. We are deeply honored to be in front of the leading medical organizations in the Philippines and other honored guests. Our gratitude also goes to AstraZeneca for organizing this engaging event. Initially, I was not on the short list of the Board of Trustees to ensure only one member of the Rojas family will be represented. However, Father Jerry Orbos, a longtime family friend, kindly stepped down from his potential role, opting to focus solely on the foundation he established, which provides medical financial assistance to those in need. Father Orbos and our family have shared a close bond since 2012, particularly through his involvement in the Society of the Divine Words annual 7 Last Words. program, which Emmer participated in several times. As a lung cancer survivor himself, Father Orbos has kindly volunteered to serve as the spiritual advisor of Langhap. Emerito Rojas. Emmer is a stage 4 laryngeal cancer survivor, celebrating 22 years of remission. Following his treatment, he founded the New Voice Association of the Philippines, a registered cancer support group established in 2007. Driven by a passion to assist fellow cancer patients, he embarked on advocacy work. Despite the loss of his natural voice, Emmer's advocacy gained prominence, turning his voice into a symbol for cancer awareness. Emmer has been actively involved in legislative advocacy, contributing significantly to the passage of several health laws since 2012. In recognition of his efforts, the American Cancer Society honored him as a Global Cancer Ambassador during the same year. Beyond his advocacy work, Emmer is an accomplished electrical engineer with master's degrees in entrepreneurship and political science. Violeta Ribay. As mentioned earlier, Violeta or Violi was accidentally diagnosed with stage 3A lung cancer during a routine X-ray at her 2015 annual checkup. Her gratitude for this timely detection underscores the importance of regular health screenings beyond mere office compliance. She is also a clear example that cancer, if treated early and correctly at early stages, it can be defeated. A retired policewoman, Violi holds a degree in education and a master's degree in education management. Leah Pakis. Congresswoman Leah Pakis has dedicated over 2 decades to advocating for the rights and concerns of nurses in the Philippines. She served as a representative in the lower house during the 16th Congress representing the ANGNARS party list. A staunch health advocate, she sponsored landmark legislation such as the Graphic Health Warnings Law, and Congresswoman Leah is a former national president of the Philippine Nursing Association and currently serves on the nursing board at the Professional Regulations Commission. Andito po siya. Attorney Arnel Mateo, a 22-year tuberculosis survivor. Attorney Arnel discovered his condition through a routine X-ray in his teens while seeking work to fund his education. He is the current president of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Quezon City chapter. Additionally, he is a faculty member of the School of Law at Universidad de Manila, Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Manila, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and St. Dominic Savio College. He runs his own data privacy consulting firm and is an active Rotarian. Regrettably, he is on an official trip to Singapore and cannot join us today. Cecil M. Ibarra. 16 years ago, Cecil underwent a lobectomy due to a severe lung infection. Similar to Patrolman Violi, she navigated a challenging lung disease journey without the need for chemotherapy. Cecil is a certified public accountant and a retired assistant vice president at the Development Bank of the Philippines. Currently, she serves as a consultant at the Association of Development Financing Institutions in Asia and the Pacific, or ADFIAP, the focal point for all development banks and financial institutions involved in financing development in the Asia-Pacific region. Nandito po siya. Attorney Reggie Duran. Attorney Reggie is a founding member of the Duran and de Guzman Law Offices. He previously served as the president of Endurance Service Services Corporation, a non-life insurance company. He is also a board of trustee at the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Quezon City chapter. Attorney Reggie Duran, a renowned practicing criminal lawyer and entrepreneur. NACAP will be closely monitored by a distinguished team of medical professionals, each a leader in their respective fields. We are incredibly fortunate to have their support in addressing our technical medical concerns. Allow me to introduce these esteemed individuals to you. Ayan po sila. Dr. Rex Michael Santiago is an anatomic and clinical pathologist with a subspecialty in thoracic pulmonary pathology. Dr. Santiago completed his clinical fellowship at the Toronto General Hospital, University of Toronto in Canada. He is a consultant at both the Lung Center of the Philippines and St. Luke's Medical Center, where he also heads the blood bank and transfusion services. In addition, Dr. Santiago is actively engaged in research focusing on histology, histopathology, and immunohistochemistry. Dr. Camilo C. Roa Jr. Dr. Roa is a distinguished pulmonologist and internal medicine specialist. He is a professor emeritus at the College of Medicine, University of the Philippines, and serves as the medical director of San Juan de Dios Hospital. Dr. Roa is an internationally recognized expert in respiratory medicine. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he played a pivotal role in establishing the country's first community isolation center for mild and symptomatic COVID-19 cases. As a clinician scientist, he invented a device for bronchoprovocation using carbogen gas to aid in the diagnosis of asthma, a significant contribution he made in 1987. Dr. Herdy Florian C. Luna. Dr. Luna is a distinguished medical oncologist at the Lung Center of the Philippines. In her role, she has been instrumental in advancing the care and treatment of patients with lung cancer and other thoracic malignancies. She also serves as the research head for the Medical Oncology Department at the National Kidney and Transplant Institute, where she leads cutting-edge research initiatives aimed at improving cancer treatment outcomes. Her leadership has propelled the department to the forefront of oncology research in the country. Dr. Herdy Luna is currently the president of the Philippines Society of Oncology. Dr. Jose Jasper Andal. Sana. Dr. Andal is an esteemed anatomic and clinical pathologist at St. Luke's Medical Center. He completed his fellowship in molecular pathology at Columbia University Medical Center. Dr. Andal also served as a consultant pathologist at the Philippine Orthopedic Center and as a molecular pathologist and quality assurance officer at St. Luke's Medical Center, PGC. Additionally, he is a faculty member of the St. Luke's Medical Center College of Medicine. Dr. Andal's special interests include lung cancer tumor biomarker development, molecular pathology, and bone and soft tissue tumors. His dedication to these areas contributes significantly to advancements in medical research and patient care. Since Father Jerry Orbos cannot make it today, he, however, sent a video message while he is on pilgrimage somewhere in the Middle East. Let us listen to his wisdom. Father Jerry Orbos.
Hi, Ever and Valet, NACAP, Lung Health Association of the Philippines. Cansmates. All I can tell you is that there is hope. And please don't give up hope. Those who go through cancer. Hold on to the discipline, take your medicines, follow your doctors, and be patient. It's a journey. So hold on. And another thing I'd like to add is a positive mindset, a joyful mindset. Don't be bored, don't be impatient, and focus on the humor, not on the tumor. And of course, most important, your faith in God. The big C is nothing compared to the biggest C, Christ. And chemotherapy, mahirap, but you can always have prayer therapy. It's your faith in God that will see you through. And this is a time when we get sick. Sana we come closer to God. We become more trusting in God. And it's a time for purification, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. Come closer to your loved ones, and let this be a time for you to become a better person. Yes, and I always believe that nothing happens by accident for those who love God. There is a reason, there is a mission in everything that happens. So take good care of yourselves, be strong, don't give up, and keep on praying. And may your journey be filled with hope. Don't give up. The Lord loves you. You must never doubt that. Keep trusting in Him. Trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So I pray to the Holy Spirit that you who listen will realize that God is with you always and in all ways. Take care. God loves you. And Mama Mary always be with you. Thank you, Cansmates. Believe, trust, and surrender. BTS. Believe that God loves you. Trust that He will help you. And surrender everything and everyone to God's loving will and plan for you. I bless you all in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Saranghay, kamsahamnida. Heart pa rin. Puso. We are in God's heart, big heart. May you have a heart that's becomes more generous and giving. May you have a heart for the little ones, the poor and the sick. And don't forget, connect with other people, heart to heart. One week.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the remarkable team poised to make history in lung healthcare in the Philippines. This powerhouse team, composed of dedicated professionals, shares a collective passion for reducing the morbidity and mortality of lung cancer and other lung diseases. However, we cannot achieve this monumental task alone. We invite you to join us in this endeavor. Let us all work together as a united team, and we humbly seek your support to turn this vision into reality. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and Advisory Council of LungHub, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Violeta Rojas, and of course, Mr. Rojas and Mrs. Ribay, and of course, to all the members of the Board of Trustees of LungHub for taking the time to be with us today. In addition, syempre, sa mga advice ng doctors, importante talaga po na sa mga pasyenteng with lung cancer po, importante po na marinig nila from patients who have shared or have undergone the same journey para po sa support system nila. So, salamat po at mabuhay po kayo. We will now continue to delve into the journey of the Filipino patient with lung cancer. this time through a multidisciplinary discussion with our invited experts from various medical societies. They will highlight the role of different specialties in comprehensive lung cancer care. It is my privilege to introduce to you our eminent panel of speakers. First is a pulmonologist and the president of the Philippine College of Chest Physicians, Dr. Janet Samson. A medical oncologist and the president of the Philippine Society of Medical Oncology, Dr. Josephine Tolentino. A medical oncologist and president of the Philippine Society of Oncologists Incorporated, Dr. Herdy Luna. A thoracic surgeon and president of the Philippine Association of Thoracic, Cardiac, and Vascular Surgeons Incorporated, Dr. Carlos Aleta. A radiation oncologist and president of the Philippine Radiation Oncology Society, Dr. Teresa Benedicto. A family medicine specialist and president of the Philippine Academy of Family Physicians, Dr. Josefina La Peña. And last but not least, a palliative care expert and immediate past president of the Philippine Society of Hospice and Palliative Medicine, Dr. Joey Hoson. And last but not least, AstraZeneca Philippines Medical Director, Dr. Cyril Tolosa. Good morning to our esteemed panel and thank you for being with us here. So let's kick off our discussion with Dr. Samson. Dr. Samson, what is the role of pulmonologists in lung cancer care?
Good morning, everybody. And we know that usually pulmonologists po ang unang pinupuntahan, or and the family physician as well, And patient comes to us because of some symptoms. Okay. Yan ang po ang mga common symptoms ng pasyente. It can either be cough, weight loss, dyspnea, pwedeng sumuka ng dugo, masakit ang dibdib. Pero tama po si Dr. Miss Pileta na hindi po lahat may symptoms. Why? Because symptoms only occur during the advanced stage. When the patient has already metastasized or probably nakadagan ang bukol sa isang parte ng katawan na pwedeng mag-cause ng symptoms. So, based on this study, 23%, almost quarter of patients do not present with symptoms, And yan po ang benefit ng pag-screen ng pasyente, There is benefit in doing lung cancer screening among our patients who are high risk. So, there are two trials actually that highlighted the evidence in terms of reduction in mortality, Mas tumatagal ang buhay ng mga pasyente na nakuha or na-catch through screening, Ito yung National Lung Screening Trial. There is 20% reduction in mortality among our cancer patients. Second is the Nelson Trial, 15,000 patients, and it has shown that there is 25% reduction in mortality in the 10 years. Among those who have been screened. Sino yung mga dapat nating screen? Yung mga high-risk patients, yung mga smoker, heavy smoker, 50 to 75 years of age. Those, kahit na nag-quit na within 15 years, kailangan i-screen pa rin. And those with family history of cancer. So tama naman si Ms. Violeta na pwedeng magkaroon ng cancer kahit hindi nag-smoke. And we will dwell later on the female adenocarcinoma, never smoker patients, which is actually very common among Asians. So how do we go about diagnosis? Important is to plan what diagnostic approach that will give us the most important or more complete diagnosis of the patient. So, ibig sabihin, kung kunyari may tubig sa baga ang pasyente at may bukol pa rin nakikita, mas magandang examinin muna yung tubig. No? Bakit po? Or do a pleural biopsy. Bakit? Kasi nagda-diagnose ka na ng cancer at stage ka pa. No? So, hindi agad doon sa bukol. No? So, yun po yung planning na kailangan natin. Likewise, we want to minimize the number of invasive procedures and the number of diagnostic procedures that are needed in order to come up with a diagnosis. So, hindi pwedeng, ay, mag-needle biopsy muna ako kasi non-invasive yun. Tapos, alam mo naman na hindi pala kaya ng needle biopsy dahil lalo yung bukol, nasa middle. At pangalawa, konti yung specimen na nakukuha, they did not make sure that there's adequacy of specimen. So yung mga ganong pong bagay, no? We know that before we treat our patient, histologic confirmations needed. Hindi pwedeng, ay mukhang malignant to based on CT scan, may mga features, o refer na natin sa oncologist kasi magbibigay na siya ng gamot. Hindi po pwede yon kasi hindi po lahat ng cancer pare-pareho ang treatment. Important na po ngayon na malaman natin kung anong tissue diagnosis, ano ang mga markers available on the biopsy, at doon po nagta-target ang ating mga oncologists on what treatment to give. And it's the shared decision making, no? Shared decision making with our thoracic surgeons, with our interventional pulmonologists, pathologists. So pagdating pa lang ng paggawa pa lang ng procedure, alam mo na kung anong best procedure na dapat para sa pasyente. Hindi pwede ang needle, kailangan video-assisted thoracoscopy, pwede naman palang alisin agad, parang double setup, kasi wala pa namang ibang kalat, no? So, ang tawag po doon, excision biopsy, lobectomy, no? It's curative in a way. We do the biopsy during the procedure. So, importante yung kaya pa ng pasyente kung ano ang tino-contemplate natin procedure. So, we have to do some clearances, nodule accessibility, yung po yung sinabi ko na pag middle, nasa central part yung bukol, hindi pwede yung mga needle biopsy, no? More of bronchoscopy ang kailangan natin dyan. Preference ng pasyente. Kung gusto niya, ay gusto ko nang malaman agad-agad. So we go to the procedure that will give us the best diagnosis or the best adequacy of specimen at makakatulong agad. Kasi minsan, pag nang-needle biopsy tayo, kulang pala yung specimen because we did not think about the other tests that are needed that are helpful for the oncologist to give treatment. So, kailan tayo suspect o may nakita tayo, no? Si Mrs. Violeta kanina, sabi niya, nakita by X-ray. So, hindi lahat po ng nodule nakikita by X-ray kasi there's a certain size of the nodule, 1 to 2 centimeter mostly, ang nakikita lang by X-ray. So, those less than that are seen by CT scan. No? So, yung nodules na more than 8 millimeters needs to be monitored. Nodules na meron ding kakayahan ang CT scan natin measure ng bigat ng nodule, no? So, more than 25% in volume, yung mabilis mag-grow, less than 400 days, yung part solid nodules, so may konting hindi solid, tapos may solid na part component, mga suspicious nodules po yun. Tapos yung mga nag-grow, so ibig sabihin, pag hindi solid yung nodule, kailangan pa rin i-screen or monitor, lalo na high risk yung pasyente, heavy smokers or all the risk factors that we have probably associated with cancer. So ano ang mga paraan para mag-diagnose? Pwedeng sputum cytology, pero hindi parating may yield, no? Ibig sabihin, pag negative yon, hindi pa rin siya tayo sigurado, no? Chest X-ray, nakikita lamang yung bukol pero hindi natin alam kung malignant siya. Likewise, CT scan and PET scan. Yung mga invasive procedures ang kailangan natin to see the character of the nodules. No? Ito ba'y malignant? Anong klaseng malignant? Anong type ng malignancy? at ano pang mga markers. It can also be a fine needle aspiration, video-assisted thoracoscopy, and I'm sure Dr. Aleta will elucidate further on this, and then justinoscopy. So, pwede din tayo mag-biopsy ng mga nakikita nating mga metastatic sites. So, kung kunyari may kulani ang pasyente, no, at may nakikitang bukol, it is also best and not less invasive to do a biopsy on that lymph node, no? So, adrenals, yun ang mga common sites of metastases of lung cancer patients. And I think that's the last of my slide. And I will further answer questions as we go.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samson. Maganda po malaman that meron na, kasi po for a long time, di ba po wala pong screening tool para sa lung cancer. Dati di ba sa breast, mammogram, etc. Is po ngayon sa lung cancer, meron na po screening tool which is those chest CT scan. I'm sure you've handled quite a number of patients and narinig din po natin kanina na meron pong mga certain patients na hindi po naninigarilyo pero pwede magkaroon ng lung cancer. Now, you mentioned a while ago, Doctora, the risk factors that will flag doctors to suggest screening. Paano naman po dun sa mga hindi po naninigarilyo na nagkaka-cancer? Meron din po bang screening na pwedeng gawin?
Well, based on the 2022 consensus guidelines that has been given among Asians, family history of cancer or lung cancer is also one of the possible risk factor that you need to screen our patients. No, marami po sa mga Asian ang female non-smokers, no, and hindi pa maliwanag kung saan ang gagaling ito. Kailangan pa siguro natin ng mas malalim na pag-aaral. Hindi na, marami pang iba pang risk factor aside from smoking. Previous history of tuberculosis can also be a risk factor. Exposure in terms of occupation, arsenic, radon, marami pang ibang asbestos. Hindi lahat maliwanag. No, I mean, a patient who is in a certain occupation will not probably be more conscious on doing a screening. No? So, important talaga yung X-ray. We have AI already on X-ray. No? And this highlights or increases the accuracy of diagnosing or detecting nodules on X-ray. So, meron ng artificial intelligence po, no? And hindi pa natin alam kung comparable siya with chest CT scan, but low-dose CT scan is the primary mode of screening that is recommended at the moment.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samson. Thank you, ma'am. Family physicians are often the first contact of many patients po. In the case of lung cancer, Dr. La Peña, what initial actions do you usually take, ma'am? Or what is the role of family physicians in managing patients with lung cancer?
Okay. So, maraming papel ang family physician sa lung cancer. Flash ko din. Okay, so baka po kasi hindi niyo alam na specialista din ang family and community medicine. Medyo 50 years na kami o 50 years pa lang. Parang we do have a specialty training for the family and community medicine practitioner. And ito po yung aming specialty society. At gusto ko lang tawag na namin Marites. Kasi importante po na alam namin kung ano yung sitwasyon ng pasyente, kung ano yung sitwasyon ng pamilya, kasi hindi lang naman pang-condition pala, pang-pamilya din. Tapos, ano ba yung ginagalaw nilang komunidad? Where are they working? Where are they living? What is the family dealing with? No, hindi lang yung patient. So, yun, isa yun sa mga parang tinuturo natin sa mga specialista ng family and community med. And ito yung sinasabi ko, yung sagot sa tanong mo. Ang pag-aalaga namin ay mula bago pa magkasakit hanggang meron ng sakit na stage 4. Kapag hindi na kaya ng medisina kung anong pwedeng gawin, nandun pa rin kami. So, pakikiramay at saka yung aming specialty, subspecialty, si Joey Girl na yung magsasabi sa inyo mamaya. Pero bunga po yan ng development ng specialty. Tapos, doon sa pre-guide sinabi ko, mula sa simula hanggang sa dulo. Sa simula po, kaagapay kami ng mga nagtatrabaho sa komunidad doon sa pag-screen. Kaya, okay na okay yung sinasabi nila ng screening na ngayon. Totoo yan, dati walang screening test for lung cancer. Ang tanging nagagawa natin yung lifestyle modification na tinatawag. Kasi karamihan nga naman ng may cancer sa lungs ay nagsisigarilyo. So, smoking cessation ang aming pinapasukan. But now with the low cost CT scan, kaya lang medyo mahalan, no? So, importante yung advocacy dyan para maging supported siya ng ating PhilHealth. Anyway, so nandun po kami, both sa lifestyle check at saka sa screening bilang pag-iwas o para hindi magkaroon ng lung cancer. Pero dun sa gitna, ipa-partner, i-refer na natin sa kanilang lahat yung mga kasamahan ko ngayon dito. Kasi doon sa pag-aalaga, pag may cancer na, kailangan na po talaga ng specialista na care na talagang nag-aral for that. So, the pulmonologist, the oncologist, no? Sila talaga ang nanggagamot. Pero nandyan kami kasi ang gusto namin, yung pamilya, hindi napapabayaan. So, yung journey, di ba? Kasama yung pamilya. And then, palliation to, and hospice care, nagsimula po yan dun sa specialty namin. Kasi, karamihan po ng mga binibisita, kasi kasama dun sa training, yung pagbisita sa pamilya, ang madalas nangangailangan ng bisita, yung may mga sakit na seryoso. So, kasama din ng cancer. Kaya, na-develop yung specialty na bago pa lang, hindi pa yung, halimbawa, nasa stage yung mga bioli, meron nandiyan na kami. Tapos, kung halimbawa, meron tayong mga pasyente, kilala, ako ang tatay ko namatay sa cancer. So, lung cancer pa. So, walang hospice na, he was in pain for so long. Hindi namin alam pa paano gagawin. We tried all sorts of things. Pero, nung alam ko na yung hospice care, meron palang nagagawa. Kahit na life limited na, may taning na yung buhay niya. So, yun yung si Joy Girl na lang magsabi sa inyo tungkol sa hospice care. Kasi hindi natin siya dapat katakutan dahil maraming doktor natatakot sa hospice, no? Pero ang ganda ng mga karanasan namin sa hospice kasi nasasamahan, nagagabayan yung pamilya habang inaalagaan nila yung pasyente nila na talagang hindi nagagaling. And finally, ito po, meron din kaming community medicine aspect. So, kailangan po natin nakikita yung ating mga pasyente na kasama sila ng isang grupo na, bawa yung mga smokers. Meron kami advocacy sa mga smokers kasi importante po na malaman nila, lalo na ang vaping, na hindi simple yan, na hindi yan kapalit ng smoking. Kasi smoking pa rin siya. So, yung mga ganong klase ng activity na nasa komunidad. So, nasagot ko ba yung tanong mo?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, Dr. Labenya. Definitely, we appreciate and we recognize the role of family medicine specialists in managing patients, especially in the dynamics. Do we have any existing community programs on smoking cessation or prevention?
Actually, marami kami in several training programs kasi yung mga training programs natin nasa mga hospitals din. So, we are part of smoking cessation programs ng mga hospital, yung mga big hospitals. Plus also, may mga community projects. Some of our, hindi lahat ng, hindi ko masabi sa inyo kung saan areas, but in major hospitals, usually kasama ang family physicians sa smoking cessation programs.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That is good to know because, of course, prevention is always better than. So, but once lung cancer is confirmed in a patient, what are the steps taken by the medical oncologist, Dr. Jeff Valentino?
Magandang magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Firstly, before I answer that question, I would like to thank you for inviting me to be part of this event so that I can speak with you today and talk about our role also as medical oncologists. So once lung cancer has been diagnosed, usually po ang nagda-diagnose ito pong katabi ko. Pulmo, and sometimes rin po ang mga family physicians and internists kapag sila po unang naunang nakonsultahan ng pasyente. But as medical oncologist po, ito po ang aming society logo. I represent the Philippine Society of Medical Oncology. And ito po actually ang role ng medical oncologist in lung cancer care. We are regarded as the cancer specialist or cancer expert. And ito po yung usual po na mga inaasikaso po namin sa pagdating po sa cancer. And makikita po ninyo, medyo marami-rami po yung role namin. And in fact, nakakasama rin po namin ang pasyente ng matagal-tagal to the point na nai-invite na nga po kami sa kasal nila, binyag, sa birthday. Ganun po katagal at nagiging close na po namin, no? And this is our first job to ensure that we have a precise diagnosis. Kasi ngayon po ang lung cancer, hindi na lang po siya tinitreat as one lung cancer. We look at the type or subclassification of lung cancer under the microscope. So meron na po siyang iba't ibang klase. So importante po yung malaman kung ano po yung iba't ibang klase kasi later on, kami rin po yung magde-determine kung ano po yung kailangan ng gamot. Ngayon ho, meron na tayong tinatawag na precision medicine. Nasa precision era na tayo. Meron na ho tayong mga molecular tests or in general, we call it biomarkers. E dutong sa mga biomarkers na to, at a cellular level na, tinitignan ngayon. Sobrang high-tech na ngayon, no? DNA, yun na ho ang trend. And very important, kasi doon ho sa paggaling ninyo, doon ho madedetermine dito ho sa mga test na to. So, aside from histologic and molecular testing, kami rin po yung medyo very particular sa staging ng disease. But parati yan. Ano po ang stage ko, doktora? So, very particular kami. Kaya, ano yung mga kailangan na test para ma-stage ng maayos? Meron na hong, ang chest x-ray, maganda ho yan, pero hindi niya ho nakikita ho yung mga maliliit na bucals. Kaya, pag may accurate staging, ang mga kailangan na natin dyan, yung CT scan or PET CT scan, no? And bakit ho natin gustong malaman yung stage? Kasi, nape-predict ho niya yung course at outcome ng sakit. No, syempre pag mas mataas ang stage, mas nalalaman natin, mas aggressive pala yung sakit kapag halimbawa mas mataas yung stage. At kapag mas mababa, katulad ni Mrs. Ribay, no, kahit pa paano, wala pa po kayo ang staging 1 to 4, wala pa kayo sa 4, pero tignan nyo nung nakuha ng maaga, katulad rin ni Father Orbos, na operahan, nag-chemotherapy, tignan nyo, 9-year survivor, di ba? Amen? Yan. So, yun ho yung maganda, early detection, no? So, aside from staging, ito po I'm going to highlight this kasi yung multidisciplinary team approach, very important because there is no one doctor who can diagnose and treat lung cancer. Kasi sobrang dami na po ng advancements na hindi na kaya ng isang doktor para malaman kung ano yung next step na gagawin. Sa biomolecular testing pa lang ho, iba-iba na ho yung dumadating. Dati ang alam lang namin, EGFR. Ngayon, sobrang dami na hong dumadating na iba't ibang mga test. Na even yung mga test natin, hindi na kayang isa lang yung requestan. No? And because it's kind of expensive too, minsan kami rin ho yung gumagawa ng para-paraan. Paano po punta yung pasyente dun sa test na yun na makakamura siya. So ginagabayan rin po namin ang mga pasyente pagdating ho dun sa parte na yun. Ngayon ho, ang multidisciplinary approach, meaning katulad ngayon, no, iba't iba po kaming doktor na nandito sa programa na to. Kami ho yung usual na naggagamot ng lung cancer. Hindi ko ho kayang mag-opera, hindi rin ho niya kayang mag-chemo. So, yun ho, nagtutulungan-tulungan ho kami para saan ho ikakabuti ng pasyente, kung saan siya pinakamakakaalwas, hindi masyadong mahihirapan, at kung saan pinakamahaba ang buhay. So, yun ang gusto natin, di ba, para makasama natin ang pamilya natin more. So, nakita sa mga pagsusuri na kapag ang isang pasyente ay minanage ng team right up front, sa pinakauna pa lang, hindi ho pagkatapos ma-diagnose na nagamot na. Sa una pa lang, once na na-diagnose at pinatawag na kaagad yung lahat ng doktor bago pa mag-initiate ng treatment, whether surgery or chemo or targeted, mas sumahaba ang buhay. And I will explain to you because ngayon ho, meron ng mga paraan na hindi na ho kaagad inooperahan. Minsan ho, ginagamot na muna, tapos inooperahan na. So, minsan mas maganda yung ganong approach. So, ang pinaka-common, no? The usual treatment that you will hear is chemotherapy. But right now, we now have targeted therapy and immunotherapy. And this is where yung mga biomarkers or molecular testings ho natin ay pumapasok. Kasi depende na ho dun sa result ng test, that will now be your treatment. And the more na mas natatarget ho natin yung mutation or kung ano man doon ho sa cell, mas napapaganda po yung medicine. So ang chemotherapy, maraming natatakot ho dyan, di ba? Kasi sa mga side effect. But nevertheless, yung mga targeted therapy, they are more directed to the mutation, and yung immunotherapy is something that stimulates, the body's immune system to recognize and attack the cancer cells. So, ang medical oncologist ho, isa rin ho to, no, sa mga nagiging principal investigators ng mga clinical trials. Ang clinical trials, so isa ho natin yan pamamaraan kung paano rin ho tayo makakatulong sa siyensa, that's one. Number two, hindi lang po siya parang parati na lang experiment. Yung pag nakapasok po kayo sa clinical trials, sometimes nga natutulungan pa po tayong mas lalong gumaling. Kasi ang ibang gamot naman po dyan ay talagang proven na nakakatulong. Tapos, nakakaalwas pa sa gastos. Kasi most of the time, free ang medicine ho kapag nag-undergo ng clinical trial. And of course, yung mga medical oncologists ho will ensure that these clinical trials adhere to ethical guidelines. Hindi mo siya basta na lang ibinibigay sa pasyente, no? And it also enables patients to benefit from the latest advancements in cancer therapy as safely as possible. So, after treatment, there can also be some delayed effects of the treatment. So, we are still there to monitor that. Sometimes din po, meron din po mga kailangan i-monitor kung bumabalik po yung bukol. So, kung may chance ho na talagang bumalik ang bukol, nandyan pa rin po kami. So, naggagawa po kami ng mga surveillance. And of course, we advise our patients to continue yung mga healthy lifestyle and promote it. And of course, yung mga mental health support. Hindi yung madaling magkaroon ng cancer. Minsan after that, meron pa rin mental and emotional factor left. And lastly, in essence, medical oncologists guide patients through each stage of cancer care, from initial diagnosis and treatment to post-treatment monitoring and survivorship, with a focus on comprehensive, compassionate, and evidence-based care. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tolentino. You mentioned several systemic treatments po therapy, chemotherapy, molecular targeted therapy. Baka po sa mga pasyente, overwhelming po yun, especially when deciding to choose. How do we engage patients in this multidisciplinary team of care?
Well, ano po yun, no? Usually po ang multidisciplinary is called by either the primary care physicians, pulmonologists, or sometimes, now that we have social media, ang PSMO po kasi meron pong social media, Facebook, etc. So, pag sinabing onco, minsan nga nauunan na sila sa aming pumupunta, and we also call this multidisciplinary team meeting. So, just in case na you are already diagnosed with cancer, or if you think that you have one, then ask your doctor, Doc, pwede po ba tayong mag-multidisciplinary meeting with the other doctors? So I think you have to be proactive in asking for that, no, as patients.
Thank you very much, Dr. That's important kasi, of course, it is, as Dr. Samson mentioned a while ago, it is indeed a shared decision making. So we've delved on the systemic treatment for lung cancer. Now we go to the localized therapy for lung cancer. And one of those is thoracic surgery, which it involves treating conditions inside the thoracic cavity, which contains the area containing the lungs. Dr. Aleta, please tell us more about the role of a thoracic surgeon in lung cancer treatment and maybe in the diagnosis also.
Magandang umaga sa lahat. First of all, again, thank you for inviting me representing my society, the Philippine Association of Thoracic, Cardiac, and Vascular Surgeons, ATACSI. So, sa site po namin, we have specialists sa thoracic, nandun sa cardiac, and also sa vascular. Okay, but for this morning, it's more for the thoracic. And as mentioned, the role of the surgeon, part kami ng multidisciplinary team which was mentioned earlier. So dati, kasama yung surgeon, siyempre siga siya, buho, tanggal. But ngayon, nalagay involved na yung treatment sa lung cancer, multidisciplinary approach siya po ang uso kung dahil sabihin na. And recently, meron po kami na nangyari yung Southeast Asian Thoracic Society meeting where halos ang focus po lahat ng laman ay lung cancer approach through a multidisciplinary approach. So sila rin po yung mga kasama namin sa meeting. So anyway po, yung role ng surgeon, well, we're talking about bukol. So maganda sana yung mag-handle sa pasyente yung those properly trained sa thoracic surgical oncology. Hindi lang yung tanggal ng bukol, but mayroong approach, anong best way angkap siya dun sa stage na meron yung patient. Sama sa role ng thoracic surgeon is to aid the other members of the team in properly staging the patient. So nabanggit kayo namin, working with the intervention pulmonologist, meron din yung sa surgeon part na yun yung role niya para helping in diagnosing and staging the patient. So ngayon, nag-evolve na rin yung sa thoracic surgery. Before, everything was open surgery. Open surgery, yun nga, kasi laki ng isang tangkal usually ang hiwa sa patient para yung tadyang niya mahiwalay, mapasok yung kamay ng surgeons. But now, because mas specialized na yung treatment na initially you just want to diagnose the patient, tanggalin mo lang yung bukol, pwede rin yung mas maganda na uso na yung minimally invasive approach, which is through video-assisted thoracoscopic surgery or VATS. Ngayon, common na rin yung technology, mayroon po yung robotic assisted. All of this is to same pa rin po yung principle na makuha yung bukol, ma-stage through properly, pero minsan mas comfortable sa pasyente kasi mas maliit yung hiwa nila, mas maganda po yung recovery sa hospital and also on discharge. So the role of surgeon actually depende sa stage ng cancer. Nandun pa rin po kami tulad ng ibang doctors. Pag early po yung pag-diagnose ng lung cancer, of course kasama sa pagtamang abiso sa patient, we have to diagnose the pulmonary lesions. As I mentioned earlier, kasama yung mga colleagues namin sa pulmonology as well as ngayon po kasi uso rin yung hybrid operating room. At least magsisimula na po. Dun sa hybrid operating room, pag meron pong bukol na hindi pa nalalaman kung ano yun, pero yung size niya ay maliit pa, na-detect sa screening, pwede po siyang gawin ng one stage na makuha yung bukol, malaman po with the help of pathologist habang nakasali yung patient sa operating room, and kung may kailangan next step na sunugin ba yung bukol, tanggalin yung pinaka-lobe, as mentioned by our earlier speaker, mula sa tangkay, pwede pong gawin yun. Maliwan po sa pagtanggal ng bukol and yung pinakabaga, if a patient would need chemotherapy later on, we also insert yung vascular access, yung tinatawag ng Portacat or implantable vascular access device. Para yung pasyente kung sa kailangan ng chemotherapy, hindi na po magre-rely palagi na bawat session niya, nahanapan ng ugat, tutusukin, with the aid of having a implantable vascular access device. And anytime may session po siya ng chemotherapy, ako po na siya, tapos tutusukin na lang po ng karayom yung pinaka-access device. Pag-advance na po yung lung cancer, tumutulong din kami, as mentioned earlier, na nakuha na yung bukol, pero gusto malaman po yung mga kulani ba ay involved. We have a treatment, a diagnostic for that, yung mediastinoscopy, where we use a special instrument with a scope and just insert it inside the chest to see the lymph nodes and try to biopsy the lymph nodes so that it can be read by the pathologist and malaman na kailangan bang mas generalized na treatment bago yung operahan. Role pa rin of course ng surgeon ang pagtanggal ng bukol, and ngayon dahil nag-evolve na po yung treatment sa cancer, dati pag sinabing umulit yung cancer, natatakot na lahat na baka hindi na magamot. Meron pong role yung yung surgery for oligometastasis, yung mga maliit na bukol po ng nakita sa lung na umulit, pwede pong pitasin na mas preserve po yung natitirang baga, hindi po naubos. Because of yung minimally invasive approaches na po. In case po na medyo advanced na po yung stage yung cancer ng pasyente, of course, nandun pa rin po kami na to have been diagnosing the tumor o yung kulani niya. Minsan may mga kulani po sa leg na po napapakita, pwede po mabiopsy at malaman na po kung ano yung type ng cancer niya. Nandun rin po yung minimally invasive approach pa rin, papasok po sa dibdib using yung mga hiwa po namin ngayon, malaki na po yung hinlalaki ko eh. Siguro malaking hinlalaki na po yung length, tapos pasok po yung instrumento na masinipis ng ballpen na may camera sa dulo at dadadiagnose po yung patient. Importante po sa late stage lung cancer, yung mga may fluid, mahirap huminga, pwede pong enroll pa rin ang surgeon doon sa pag-drain ng effusion. Okay. At yung mga hirap din po huminga dahil nagkakaroon na po ng bukol sa daanan po ng hangin. Again, with the help of also the intervention pulmonologist, we also can open up yung bara and also place a stent to keep the airway open as well as the biopsy. So yung role po ng surgeon, kasama po ng multidisciplinary team, at the same time, through all stages of the patient, meron po kaming role to guide the patient and help out in his or her management. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aleta. That is good to know na marami na pong minimally invasive approaches ngayon na pinapaikli. Hindi lang yung sugat, pati yung duration of hospitalization. You mentioned about the hybrid operating room. Ito din po ba yung double setup na napag-usapan kanina? To clarify kung ano po yung ibig sabihin nun at kung ano po yung maitutulong nun sa mga pasyente.
Yes, dati kasi parang ang patient nag-consulta muna sa nauna mga physicians and punta muna siya magpapabiopsy sa CT scan, papasilip sa endoscopy room sa pulmonologist, tapos tsaka pupunta sa surgeon para sa surgical treatment. Meron po ngayon may papasok na hybrid operating room which nandun po parang one-stop shop if I may use the term. Yan po, darating yung patient, minsan wala pa siyang diagnosis, may dala lang siyang CT scan na may bukol. So doon, in one sitting, malalaman ko ng bukol na yun and madadiagnose, and if kailangan ng surgery, minsan nandutuloy po.
Medyo na po. So, napapaikli po niya. Pero syempre, kailangan din pong i-check po ng pulmonologist kung pasado po yung matitirang baga niya pag tinanggal na po. Thank you very much, Dr. Aleta. Another equally important local therapy, of course, is radiotherapy. Dr. Benedicto, how does radiation therapy fit into the treatment plan of a patient with lung cancer?
So, sa amin naman po, kami ay member of the Philippine Radiation Oncology Society. So, as you can see, 1988 po kami nagkaroon ng society. Pero ang radiation therapy po ay since 1895 pa po nagtatry gumamot ho ng mga cancer cases. So yung mga Dati ho sa atin, alam nila yung cancer, radiation therapy as cobalt therapy before. O yan, ay part ho yan ng radiation therapy. Anyway, ang radiation therapy po ay paggamot, pag-target po ng mga cancer cells para ito ay patayin using radiation. Ang radiation therapy po, curative siya if mabigay po siya as nabanggit na po ng aking mga kasamahan even sa first stage or early stage. Kasi meron rin pagkakataon tulad na nakikita nyo na kung minsan hindi ma-ooperahan ang isang pasyente kahit nakuha siya at an early stage. O pwede ho kasi may iba ho siyang mga comorbidities or mga ibang problema na nagpe-prevent na magbigay ng any surgical management. If that is the case, radiation therapy is also an option for that. At nakikita niyo po here from our slides, from stage 1 to stage 4, meron hong role ang radiation therapy. Pwede ho siya, sabi ko nga po, as early, for early stages, we can aim for cure, pero pwede rin po siya as adjuvant modality o yung pandagdag po sa mga treatment na ginagawa po ng aming kasamahan, like chemotherapy and the like, or surgery. Pandagdag po siya yung radiation therapy to ensure na wala pong natira. Alam niyo naman po, ang mga cancer cells, if ever maliliit po siya at po pwede po siyang kumalat. So kasama po kami sa pagsigurado na yung lugar po na naoperahan or nagamot ay pwede pa rin siyang ma-sterilize ang lugar para magamot po at mawala po ang cancer cells na nandoon. Kasama rin po ang we can also contribute. Sabi ko nga sa adjuvant modalities, ibig sabihin, pwede rin ho kaming itap as kasamahan or suporta sa any surgery or any chemotherapy to assure a better outcome. Nabanggit din ho kanina na hanggang stage 4 po pwede po kami. Sabi nga, yung mga palliative concerns, usually ho may ibang problema tulad ng pagbabara or obstruction sa paghinga o sa mga daloy ng ating ugat. Nakakatulong po ang radiation therapy para ito ay gamutin or hayaan na mas maging mawala po itong mga pagbabarang yan, kasi po pag na-target po yung mga cancer cells na yon na pwede silang mawala, mas magiging maganda po yung mga daloy. Kami rin po ay pwedeng gamitin pang pain control. Hindi po ata alam ng marami, ang radiation ay pwede rin mag-control ng mga kirot or sakit, lalo na if this was caused by the cancer itself. So we can also contribute with regards to pain control. Ang isa rin po siguro namin gustong i-emphasize is that marami rin pong natatakot sa radiation therapy kasi ang katagang radiation also has harmful effects. Pero marami na pong pagbabago with regards to technology. Ang radiation therapy po, tulad na nabanggit, ay localized treatment. Ibig sabihin, nakafocus po siya sa ating mismong sakit lang. Hindi po siya pumupunta sa iba-ibang parte. Precise localization or precise treatment. Ang mga bago pong mga teknolohiya ngayon, tulad ng mga stereotactic, body radiation therapy, intraoperative radiation therapy, meron na rin po tayong mga iba-ibang klase ng brachytherapy na ginagamit, ay nakafocus lang ang pagbigay ng radiation sa lugar lang mismo ng bukol itself. So with that, nagkakaroon po tayo ng localized treatment to ensure na yung lugar lang na naapektuhan ang ginagamot or naapektuhan ng radiation. So,
Thank you very much, Dr. Actually, yung huling sinabi niyo po, yun po yung itatanong ko yung tungkol sa side effects. But it is also good to know that radiation therapy, like the other modalities of treatment, has a role from the early to the advanced stage of the disease. Dr. Lapena was mentioning a while ago about further expounding on the role of palliative care in the management of a patient with lung cancer. Dr. Joey Hosan, can you tell us more about palliative care?
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Thank you also for the organizers for also including us. So this is our society. So we've been here since 2012. Nagbunga po kami sa aming mother society galing kay Dr. Lapene from Family Physicians. So paulit-ulit na sinasabi ng mga kasamahan kong doktor dito that we are a multidisciplinary team. So we are also part of the team to help in terms of the lung cancer or the patients going through their journey of lung cancer, and as well as the patients, and as well as the family. Yun ang paulit-ulit na sinabi ni Dr. Lapena, because we also deal with the families, not only the patient. And marami na pong evidence na nagsabi na when palliative care is on board, or when palliative care approach is actually practiced, usually